Guys, this week on Let's Talk Snowboarding, we have a heavy hitter from North Idaho, Chad Warren, on the podcast. Chad is born and raised up here just outside of Rathdrum, and he has been a local in the snowboard scene for many, many years, whether it be from being on the Ski Shack snowboard team back in the day to taking his kids out to Schweitzer more recently. He is embedded in the culture up here in North Idaho, and we are so stoked to have him on the podcast. Little fun fact, Chad was actually my neighbor for almost 3 years before I met him up at Silver Saturdays Memorial Day almost 3 years ago. Met him on the gondola, got to shred with him a little bit, and found out that he lived right around the corner from me, neighborhood, right in the center of Coeur d'Alene. So, needless to say, it's been a long time coming for us to have him on the podcast because Chad lives and breathes snowboarding. So enjoy this podcast, and I just want to shout out to our sponsors. As always, Let's Talk Snowboarding is presented by Mountain Vibes, and we are always stoked to have the support of Mountain Vibes and everything that Justin and Emily do, and we are so stoked to be a part of that family. Also, Hagedon Technologies for letting us use this awesome space here, and the boy Niche for producing and giving his time to the podcast. Also want to shout out Ticket Goat. Ticket Goat is supporting Let's Talk Snowboarding, and we are so appreciative. And if you want, go check out Ticket Goat for all your ticketing solutions for events and whatever you may need. More to come on that. But for now, let's get into it. The Chad Warren Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Snowboarding presented by Mountain Vibes. And today in the booth on the producing side, we got Josh Nishimoto, aka Niche. Josh, how we doing?
Excellent.
Sweet. And our special guest today is a local legend here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Been all over North Idaho doing big things in snowboarding. We got Chad Warren in the booth. Chad, how's it going, bro?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. You know, we've gone back and forth for some weeks now trying to get you in here. So it's been super cool. What were you up to today? I know you were out at Gosser working on a project. How's it going out at Gosser, dude?
It's going. It's you know, they say every job's a job, but today went well. You know, I'm a carpenter by trade, basically do contracting work. So it was a little cold, needless to say, but it was fun. You know, they say don't change your activity, just change your outfit. So
Nice.
I put on gloves.
Yeah. You said you were waiting for a subcontractor the other day. Is why you couldn't make it. Who were you waiting on? So let's talk a little bit about like your contracting. I know you're into lumber and stuff like that, but let's talk a little bit more about like what you do within that realm.
Well, basically, I'm a one-man show. So really, I just do smaller remodels, additions. Like, you know, you want to pop out a wall and add a few square feet to your home. Like that's more of my specialty right now. I do enjoy fine woodworking. I did do a little bit of boat building for about 6 years. I was working at Standcraft, that local wooden boat company.
Yeah.
And it was actually really fun. I was able to be taught from it would have been third generation boat builder family, and it's a lost art. So I have a love for woodwork. It's relaxing when you get into a groove, and it's nice to appreciate your craft. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Standcraft. Like, that's now kind of blowing up here in our area right now. They
Yeah.
got a ton of projects going on all over. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see
Yeah.
them. I think one of the projects I saw most recently was they're out by Tony's, taking over those old apartments that used to be out there. They kind
Oh
of
yeah.
took them down, and
Oh yeah. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many projects they have going. They're all
yeah,
over the place.
they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. But yeah, you talked about like woodworking. So, how I kind of started knowing about Chad and stuff is actually I used to live right around the block from you, right next to Bryan Elementary, and I didn't, not until we met at on Memorial Day up at Silver,
Yeah.
shredding a little bit, and you told me like, oh yeah, that's my house right down the road from you.
Yeah.
But Chad did some sick renovations
Oh.
to his house during the time when I moved there, and my wife and I used to always take a walk around the block in the mornings and always admire all the progress that you had made with the metal skirting and the cool cedar type planking that you were
Yeah.
doing over there. So, talk about that project, dude. Like, what was it like kind of renovating that house for you guys? And was it like a indoor outdoor renovation, or what was that like, dude?
Oh, well, there's two different answers to that question. Mine and my wife's, because it started inside, and then it went outside. So, at one point, the kitchen was a remodel, and we were doing dishes in the bathroom. One of those. It was a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
The process though was cool because it was all sweat equity. I did all the work myself, and that's rewarding. But yeah, it's never fun living in construction. Um, and my wife is a saint for having to deal with all that because it probably took me about 6 years.
Wow.
From when we moved in to where we're like, oh, nice, that's all done. But that's where we were. I mean, like my wife and we met. I was basically living out of a van, and she was a single mom, and so we scraped together and bought this house. And it's crazy if you think about real estate. Like we bought our house for just over $100,000 downtown Coeur d'Alene. That was 15 years ago, but it's crazy just to think about what's going on locally here.
Yeah.
And as everybody knows, but so needless to say, that process was kind of necessary because the house needed it done. But it was also one of those things like I wanted it to be our house, so we basically gutted it. In hindsight, I really wish I would have just taken a bulldozer and just leveled the home and started from scratch. But you live and learn. All those homes downtown are all built in the 50s and pre that, even 1900, like old homes. So it gets complicated when you're dealing with that kind of stuff. I tend to stay away from that now in my line of work. I would prefer to do something that's a little bit newer, 20 years old and newer, because you don't run into those rat's nests that you can in those older homes. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely, feel that too, because my wife and I bought a house last October, out near the Ponderosa Springs Golf Course.
Oh yeah.
So it's a 1950s house, but it definitely was not, it got flipped, but it didn't get flipped, very well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of big items.
Put lipstick on a pig.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like big plumbing issues that
Yeah.
had to get taken care of. Big bills in the last year up there. So that's a whole issue and stuff. But, up here in our area, it's kind of interesting to see, like, you took care of your house by yourself, and you did an amazing job. I'm sure you did everything, the way you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So, but, when you buy a house and, somebody else flips it and stuff, it becomes a headache at points.
Yeah. It's like corners are cut. It needs to get back on the market. Like those things that are as an investor, yeah, it's like the longer that thing sits there idle, or if you take the extra time to make it done right, you're missing out on the end game. But um, I don't know. The nice thing is, you going into a home that had maybe just a little bit of work done is better than maybe what some of these homes are. Like some of these homes aren't turnkey and they're gross.
Yeah.
I walked into some of those that even that we were looking at when we were looking, I was like, oh man, and you could actually buy them. You can get a loan for them. It was crazy.
Yeah, and Josh is also a recent home buyer.
Oh, nice, Josh.
I think he's had a pretty good experience so far, though. He's had some things to take care of, but overall, it's been pretty good, right? Right, Nish?
Yeah, solid experience. Bought my home in June this last summer, and it was 4 years old. It's not a big house, but it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, kind of a long, tall, skinny house,
Yeah.
with minimal things that had to be done, and I did those things. Put
Nice.
maybe $1,000 into it, maybe a little more than that. But
lucky.
yeah, nothing to worry about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where's your place? Where are you located?
I'm on 12th Street, like just above Best, kind of where
sweet.
Appleway turns into Best.
Mhm.
Hit 12th and just go straight up. I'm on the left.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
cool
great
little spot.
location.
It's been fortunate to go up there and chill for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nish is the man.
Always down to have anyone over. Anyone needs a place to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, careful saying that. I like playing this game called Not My House. You just go over someone's house and it's not yours.
Yeah. Well, select people are allowed
Okay.
to stay at my house.
For
Let's
sure.
say that.
Yeah, dude. Well, cool, dude. So talking a little about the area and stuff, but Chad, did you grow up here in Coeur d'Alene?
Yeah, well, Twin Lakes, north.
Okay.
Just north of Rathdrum.
Yep.
Yep, grew up in Twin Lakes. I went to Lakeland School District, called what? You talked about a local legend, but I'd say I'm more of a Lakeland legend.
Okay.
Because there's the 12-year senior is what I am. So I went there from kindergarten to senior year out at Lakeland. But it was a special place out there. It was kind of lawless back when I was in school. Not a whole lot going on, and we kind of lived outside of Rathdrum up in Twin, and man, it was bonfires and Brodies in your rig, and
Yeah.
just going out in the woods, getting away with whatever you wanted. It was
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah, and was the when you were growing up there, was that par 3 golf course up there already, or did that come later?
The par 3 at Twin.
Yeah, the little golf course that's right there within like the community and stuff.
Yeah, that's by that little trailer park.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was there when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I've delivered. So before I started doing this and being a snowboarding instructor, I worked for Builders First Source.
Okay.
So I delivered lumber all throughout, and so we had a lot of jobs up at Twin Lakes and stuff. And that's why I ask is I remember that little course out there.
Yeah.
And now I live next to another par 3 golf course
Yeah.
at Ponderosa. So the Pond Augusta, as everyone tells me to call it. So
It's world class par 3, man. It's a great course.
yeah, it's pretty. I mean, the vibes out there are pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Every single day, like it's cool to go out there and have fun, and they have parties at night and
Yeah.
have live music. And
I've always wanted
events.
to play their night golf. I've never done that, but it looks like a blast.
Yeah, friend of the podcast, Nico Salinas. He's big into it. He's a big
Yeah.
golfer and big time snowboarder. So, yeah, it's super cool. But dude, let's get into how you how'd you get into snowboarding? What was kind of your first day out snowboarding?
Oh man. So out in Twin Lakes, I had an old friend. His name's Lane, and he had a black snow. I think it was his brother's. It was a plastic snowboard.
Yeah,
Do you remember the black snow?
the
plastic?
Walmart special is what I like to
Basically,
call it. Yeah.
It was like all that his parents could afford, and it wasn't really even that would have been. We were probably 10 years old. in like 1991.
Okay.
So snowboarding was pretty new, and it was still that kind of a punk thing, like very punk. No, everybody looked down upon it. And I remember I had to ski, and I really wanted to snowboard because we just did that down his grandpa's hill, that black snow thing. And you basically just put your Sorels in, and then you would just lace it
Yeah.
up, and it was just a plastic like boot. And we just go. It was basically stand up sledding, is all it was.
Sure.
So that would be the first time. But then I saw a video, I think, of snowboarding, and went to Schweitzer, and I was skiing, and I saw somebody snowboarding, and I was like, I want to do that really bad. So then my dad and mom didn't ski growing up. So I ended up going to Lookout, because back in those days you could ride a bus for free, and it was like $12, I think, for a lift ticket.
Okay.
So yeah, I had to do chores for 2 weeks, and I got a lift ticket every other week, and that's really when I started. Now I think I was 12 or 13 by the time I actually got a snowboard, and was able to go up to the mountain by myself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What was like your first real board?
It was GNU Chaos.
No way.
Yeah, it was.
That's dope.
It had a cow on it with like 7 udders, like a bunch of. It was just a funky. It was 90s long directional. It was like a 163. Excuse me. It was like I would have been 7th grade, maybe 100 pounds, maybe 4'10", and the board was twice as big as me.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to figure out how to ride it because I was loose bindings. I was wearing Sorels. Yeah. I almost quit. I was so frustrated because I couldn't figure out how to snowboard. And then I ended up borrowing a snowboard, and it clicked because it was a twin tip, 138 smaller board, something
Okay.
with nice bindings. And then I worked all summer and bought a snowboard.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was a K2.
Okay.
Yeah,
K2.
yeah.
Heck yeah. K2 what though?
What was that? The A-Star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. I still
With the Zeppelin bindings.
Yep.
I believe with the Zeppelin bindings.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember like your start is very similar to mine as my parents took me to Walmart and I got like I think it was like a World Industries plastic board
Oh, nice.
that they were making at that time with like
Yeah.
the grooves, the black bottom and like a crazy just like laminate, like sheet top.
Yes.
But I rode that thing hard, man. Like I went
At a resort?
No.
Oh.
I mean, I tried to take it up to Mount Ashland my first time ever going up to the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, dude, you can't ride that. Like, come on. Like, what are you doing? And
Beat
so
it,
my
dork.
mom got me on a board and I couldn't. I mean, I took that board up to the top of the bunny hill. I rode the chair up and I was all by myself. And it was like blizzard conditions with like ice pellets hitting my face. And I couldn't even strap in and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But my mom was in a ski lesson on that day. And, she was like, you want to come try and ski? And I was like, yeah, I'll try that out, see if it works better. And, I started to slide around, and that's how I started to learn how to slide. But I always, like, after about, like, 2 seasons, I was like, yeah, I don't like this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I want to go back and learn how to do snowboarding. So that's when I actually just started renting stuff up at the local hill at Mount Ashland. And but yeah, I mean, I rode that World Industries board hard in my front yard all the time. Whenever it snowed, I would go out, take the shovel out, build a little like bump,
Yeah.
and go jump off whatever I could and just have fun with it.
You still got the board?
No. I still have my first ever real snowboard I bought I don't know the brand of it, but it has the top sheet is like a rendition of Sid Vicious and the Sex Pistols. So
Oh.
it has a big British flag and Sid Vicious face on it, Sex Pistols writing all over it and stuff
Nice.
like that. So I don't know what brand it was, but it was a special at Extreme Board Shop in Grants Pass, Oregon. And I think it was like $110 or something.
That's awesome.
Like 70% off because it was a 164. And like, when you get those weird sizes and stuff at the end of the spring, they're trying to like get those out of the shop and
Yeah.
stuff. So I went in and they sold it to me for a really good deal. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it was pretty sick, dude.
That sounds like what Ski Shack does.
Yeah,
They're
yes.
Like, all right, here's the boards that are not selling, and you go in there and score on that rare one.
Right.
Yeah.
Ren and Julie always have some good deals in there for the boys and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where it really, like, snowboarding for me got better was the Ski Shack team.
Yeah.
Back then, it was ran by Lyle. I'm sure you've heard of Lyle.
Oh, yeah.
And Doug, obviously.
Dougie.
Those two were, Lyle taught me how to wax a snowboard, and Ski Shack team was he was the chaperone, and man, it was awesome. Like, it was a whole new family because I got to know people from Coeur d'Alene that snowboarded, and then they were obviously pushing it too, so it was really fun to be around.
Yeah.
That shop at that time.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about being on that Ski Shack team because, the reason why we're here today is, during Ren's podcast, he shouted you out and I knew of you because you were my neighbor when I first moved up here. And so I was super intrigued. I was like, oh, Chad's like a big time, like, person up here. Like, he's influenced a lot of other people in this culture in North Idaho. And, I remember that day that we were up at Silver was that Memorial Day special.
It was a Silver Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a Silver Saturday. And it was like a fun, slushy day up there. And they still had the park kind of built out at Silver. And
that was fun.
Yeah, and I remember seeing you send some stuff, and I was like, oh my God, dude, like, this guy is killing it. Like, what was it like back in the day being part of that Ski Shack team? Because, we haven't seen this Ski Shack team in a little bit.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I've just heard stories of how sick it was, like, being a part of that crew.
Oh, dude, it was like some of my best memories. We had guys like Luke Van Valen, who ended up becoming a pro skier, still a good friend of mine. And then we had Tony Fasciano, Joel Klein. My buddy Lane Power was never on the team, but he always was able to go on the trip somehow. It was awesome. But then we had like Heidi Hedge. There was just a really good, solid group of kids that all pushed each other in the sport too. Like, we all wanted to get better and learn new tricks. And back then we did a fundraiser / trip, and we would go and sell raffle tickets for people to win a new board or a pair of skis. So we literally would go door to door and knock in back then and sell raffle tickets, and you'd get it. It was like $5 for a raffle ticket, and then you had a chance to win a $500 snowboard, right? And so we would sell. I think we made thousands of dollars selling these raffle tickets, and we'd go on a trip, and we'd go to Canada. And I don't know if I want to expose everything that went on this trip. I mean, we're in a safe place.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, dude.
There was just things that we were in high school, and we were partying, and Lyle was the one instigating it, essentially. Like, no problem. And we also had TJ Quiring, is a guy who's older than me, is a total legend. if you go into Ski Shack, there's a poster of a guy doing a method, doing the peace sign.
Okay, yeah, I've seen it.
That's TJ.
Okay.
So TJ was the man back in the day, and he was our chaperone and our team captain back then. And he was just a nutball, and it was like all hell broke loose when we got across that border and we were in Canada as the Ski Shack team. And I mean, it was ragers all night, and then we'd just go and run around the mountain and try and find cool stuff to do. And one year we went to Kimberly, and it was raining, and we were all kind of bumming. So all the snowboarders got on skis, and all the skiers got on snowboarders. But me and Tony found snowblades, and so we were snowblading, and we were just, slamming beers. It was like noon. We're on snowblades. I mean, stuff you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
With, oh man, it was a hoot. We also had this. I had this motorhome. It was called the Vader. So it was almost basically my main mode of transportation back then. It was a Toyota Dolphin, essentially, with a Toyota truck in the front, and it had a little motorhome on the back. And it was a tag axle, so it had two sets of axles in the back, and one of them was broken. So if you gassed it and you had people in the back, the front tires would come off the ground. So I had this motorhome that would do wheelies, and that's what we took on the Ski Shack trip across the border to Canada with all these kids. And yeah, it was nuts, man. I wish I could remember more of it, but
That's fun, dude.
it was fun. Yeah.
Dude, I've only really been up to, so my wife and I actually last spring we took she's been before. She's a big soccer player, so she went up to the Women's World Cup a while ago, up to Vancouver. But my first ever trip was up to Nelson, and she was so gracious because she's like, "Where do you want to go? Like, do you want to go take a weekend trip somewhere?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to go to Nelson." She's like, "Nelson? What's Nelson?" I was like, "Baldface, like snowboarding mecca, like street parts, like all kinds of stuff." And so she's like, "Okay, we'll go to Nelson." And it was a super fun time. But let's talk a little bit about like some of your favorite, like, you said you wish you remembered more, but you have some favorite places you've been up there in Canada?
I think I've actually, not during the Ski Shack trips, but I did go to Revelstoke a few years ago.
Okay.
That place is unreal.
Yeah.
It's big, and it's
steep, right?
It's steep, and the stuff you can access in bounds is you shouldn't be able to. Like, most mountains would have, like, expert only, all these gates, and you go up to Revelstoke, and it's just like a little sign that's maybe the size of a dinner plate that says cliff, and it's a 40-footer. It's scary. And it's the longest, I think it's the most vertical in North America.
Yeah.
So we tried it. It's impossible. From top to bottom, it's a lot of cat track. But it's like, I don't know if you could do it without sitting down.
Right.
It's huge.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Mountain, I had a lot of fun in Canada on the Ski Shack trip, though, was Fernie.
Okay.
By far.
I've heard that's fun.
That was a really good time. We went to Lake Louise, Kimberly, and then we went to Whitefish one year. So
Whitefish, Whitewater?
It was Whitefish, Montana.
Oh, Whitefish, Montana. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the trips that we end up taking as a team.
That's fun.
The best part about the team too, though, and shout out to Julie and Grandma, because Carolyn, like, back then, every kid that made the team got a jacket and a brand new snowboard and bindings to use for the year.
Nice.
And so, like, for me, I had to work to buy my snowboard, but on the Ski Shack team, I got a brand new setup, which was sweet. So that was really cool, and everybody on the team got the same thing. And, that really helped out because, as a punk snowboarder, your parents don't want to go spend $500-600 on a setup for you.
Yeah.
Maybe they do, but mine didn't. And so it was sweet at the shack. And then go in there and tune your board. It was Dougie and Lyle in the back. I'm like, hey, dude, my board's thirsty, and go back there and hang out with those guys. It was, looking back, it was a special time. It was really fun.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing to have that support but speaking of setups, what's the setup right now looking like, dude? What are we rocking?
Oh, my board?
Yeah,
I'm
back
running
here.
the Dynamo LibTech. Yeah, Oh, sorry, I'm out of the microphone there.
Oh,
but,
it's all good.
I was on the Hot Knife, which is a very similar model. I don't think they make it anymore, but this board is just kind of an all mountain board. My wife bought it for me. It's a 59. I wish it was a 56.
Okay.
But I like it because it's really stable, and I'm a sucker for a groomer. I really like groomers.
Me too.
And like when they get chundry at the end of the day, and I'm just chilling with my kid, I really like a board that I can just rail and not get beat up. So that's the main reason I really like it. And it's just normal camber, little early rise tip and tail. Yeah, really good board, really fun board. Highly recommend it. Yeah.
And you're rocking the bent metals on the bindings, I see.
More so, I like my flux bindings better.
Okay.
But those bindings are way better looking.
What are the angles looking like?
So I used to go duck, and I walk kind of duck footed. So I've always had at least a 18 to posi 15 negative, but I'm now more like a 22 posi in the front, and then about -5 in the rear. A little more positive, aggressive.
Nice. Awesome.
I did recently ride with Dane Payne up at Schweitzer. You know
Okay.
Dane?
Yeah.
The hard booter.
I've heard him. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we, a couple years ago, he got me set up on a hard boot setup. And,
Okay.
oh, that was humbling, but fun. Like, really fun.
It's a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, that's cool to hear, dude, like, because Euro carving and carving is, like, my bread and butter coming from Mount Hood, and who I learned from, Steve Muse at the ski school down there, our director.
Mm-hmm.
He's a die-hard carver. He's like, why would I do anything besides carve? Like, I don't need to do anything else. If you're not carving, then you're not snowboarding. And I think Josh can kind of talk about that too. Like, Josh is one of the sickest Euro carvers I've ever seen. You like to lay down some nice Euro carves on some crispy groomers, bro.
I like to lay it down in the trenches.
Yeah, bud.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I like to hear
Are
that.
you a hard booter?
No, I've never done that before, but it sounds sick. I'd love to give it a go.
It's fun. And this guy, Dane, I was just talking about, he, local guy, and I think he was telling me he's got like 25 setups, and he will figure out a way to get you on a setup, and he'll teach you how to do it.
That's what I need.
And he is so pumped to do it. Like, I can give you his number because he'll do it, and it's an experience. Plus, he's just the coolest dude. He's so awesome, so humble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, dude. There's just so many of those up here.
Yeah.
I feel like.
And he's 73 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Dude's pretty old, and he's up shredding. And he only rides on the weekdays, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And he's there every day of the week.
Sounds like kind of my program right now.
And he hates when it's a pow day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can't carve in the pow.
No, I mean that's true.
Not on a groomer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I love my powder, dude.
Me too.
Dude, let's talk a little bit more about like the ski shack. So kind of how we got hooked up. We kind of have met before and seen each other around, but Ren at the ski shack really wanted to push you onto the podcast, and he was like, if you want somebody cool as far as a local person, it's Chad. And in his in his episode, he was, I asked him like who's one of the most underrated like best riders. He's like, Chad Warren, dude. Like, Chad, I look up to Chad my whole life, and he's been a part of this whole thing since we started. So
That's really cool.
what was like your relationship with Ren when he was growing up, and kind of talk about like how you guys became friends?
I don't know how old Rin is exactly, but
He's still a young homie.
yeah, he was a Grom. You know, me when I was on the ski shack team, he was a Grom. So he was probably when I was 16, 17, I think he might have been 10. He was little. But
Yeah.
first time, and him and his cousin Avery, um, they were so fun to snowboard with because they would do anything you asked them, or they would, they'd want to try and hit the big jump, or, how do you do a backflip and how do you do these things? And they were like, and they'd go out and do it. And they were young, they were 10, 12 years old. And I watched Ren and Avery get really good. But I remember I had to talk to his mom. He needed a ride home from Schweitzer one time. And I gave him a ride home in the motorhome. And he was young. He was young. He was like 12, right? So he's in the back of this motorhome. It's me and a couple of the other guys at the time were on the ski shack team. And guys he probably looked up to that were older, And he's getting this ride home from the mountain in the back of this motorhome. And I remember dropping him off, and he's all pumped and talked to his mom. But I was like, yeah, that was a good experience. And that's kind of where that's where we first kind of hung out, I think, is when he got the ride home in the RV.
Nice.
Yeah. I didn't even make him wear a seatbelt.
He was chilling.
Yeah.
He's having fun. Josh, do you like to attend concerts, shows, go see a live hockey match, or maybe even take in a ball game?
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I just found out that when I buy tickets with pretty much all vendors, I get slammed with all these hidden fees that makes the event cost way more than I want to pay.
Dude, that sucks.
Totally, dude. But I just found out about Ticket Goat.
What's Ticket Goat?
Ticket Goat is the greatest ticketing software of all time. With Ticket Goat, venue owners can expect hassle-free setup, zero obligations, and a revolutionary $1 ticketing fee for event attendees, bro.
Does that mean we can say bye-bye to hidden fees?
100% zero hidden fees. With Ticket Goat, steep ticketing fees are a thing of the past. Their revolutionary ticketing software allows owners to create custom ticketing options, access to event reporting, and digital QR codes for mobile ticket scanning, all with no commitments and transparent pricing. That means event owners can keep their profits and ticket buyers can purchase tickets without being gouged.
Whoa, that's great.
If you own a venue or you are an event organizer in charge of ticket sales and want a fast and easy way to sell tickets, go www.ticketgoat.com and join the herd today. Speaking of the Groms, let's talk a little bit about the local scene up here now. You're fully immersed in it. You probably know a lot about what's going on locally, and let's talk about like the state of the snowboarding up here in our community and how it's. I honestly feel like it's starting to like really resurge and come back. You know what I mean? I'm newer to the area, of course, but I come from Mount Hood, and so I'm kind of spoiled because I've experienced the pros being there. Mount Hood is Mecca, right?
Yeah.
It's always popping off. And when I first got up here into the area, I felt kind of in the minority. I felt like it was a lot of ski.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 to 3 years, especially this year, with Austin Viz coming up and all the Schweitzer like young guns coming up, kind of talk about how you feel about like the state of snowboarding in our area right now.
Well, I'm not really completely up to snuff on everything because I have no social media, but I do enjoy being on the mountain with my kid and my nephew and the neighbor kids who are like, And let's see, we got like 16-year-olds to about 12-year-olds. So it's that age of the extreme stoke, and it's so fun. And I've actually been, because I didn't really like the park there for a while, and my daughter wasn't going to be going to the park. So we just kind of did our own thing. I would do a POW day, and then I'd go do groomers with her. So now that they're getting older, they're starting to hit the jumps and rails. And my nephew the other day was hiking a rail. I mean, that's like one of those things we always joked about, because I used to do that when I was a teenager, but not you know, it's like, hey, you want to go hike a rail? You know, as a 40-year-old man, like, no, it's the last thing I'm going to do. But now I find myself actually doing it.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's like the fountain of youth, and that's what I really like about the sport, because even though now I'm like not as good as I ever was, but I'm still having just as much fun because these kids are doing stuff that I used to do, and I'm seeing that fire, and it's just I enjoy being around that. As far as the local scene goes, with that being said, like, dude, every time I go to any mountain around here, I feel like the vibe's just getting better. More and more people, even since COVID, started skiing. You know, it's crazy to see. Like I told you, my dad never skied growing up, and then he literally just started skiing 3 years ago. Got his first season pass.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. I think the sport will never have an issue with growth. But as far as the local scene and snowboarding, like, I don't know. I used to be really, I'd be completely honest with you, I used to be really involved. There was the Stomp Games, which was a local contest. And I used to judge every year.
Okay.
That was really difficult to do, because you had to tell kids that, you know, you're not as good as that kid. You know, that was
Right.
really hard to do, and that contest was pretty good. Jarrett Elston does the national selection. He used to compete up here.
Big Air Jer.
Yeah, he would compete at Schweitzer against Jarrett Moss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like those guys came out of here. You know, Jarrett Moss is a legend as well. But yeah, like it was cool to see talent like that roll through this area.
Right.
And I don't think it's going to stop. You know, riding here, I moved to California after I graduated because I wanted to get out of Idaho, and then ended up in Tahoe, California a few years after I moved to Southern California. But Tahoe is like super sunny and always soft, and they call it Sierra Cement. But here it's like
Cascade Concrete.
you get really icy, gray, flat light days.
Yeah.
A lot. And it's a special place. It makes you, I think, a better rider because of the conditions.
Yeah.
And when you get those sunny powder days, they're rare, but they're fun. And the views here are unreal. Any hill, any one of these mountains, you know, with the sunny day, that's why I love it here. And yeah, I think that's what draws everybody here. That's why we're starting to see lift lines.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially
Well,
during.
you're probably laughing at it from being from Hood, but you know, if I got to wait 10 people in front of me, I mean, that's too many people.
Yeah. You know what's funny about Hood is during my time when I was there, I was working there. So I was probably in the parking lot by at the latest 6. So I never really had an issue because I wanted to be there and be early and just like not even worry about any of that kind of stuff. But this last week at Schweitzer has been nuts.
Has it really?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, it's just been like I've seen the parking lots closed down by like 8:30. All of them.
During the week?
Yeah.
Eesh.
Holiday break from the day after Christmas up until New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And probably 4 or 5, like up until now, the last couple days, I think the last 2 days it's kind of died off.
Yeah.
But definitely had the crowds this time. This season, the only other time I've ever seen it that busy was probably, I think it was 2 years ago, the day after Christmas. And I think there was kind of like an issue with the technologies as far as like the reservation system goes and rentals and stuff. But That's the only other time I've seen it like that crazy. And I remember there was a line a couple years ago, all the way out of the rental shop, all the way down through the village, down to Poochie's.
Dang.
Yeah, just waiting for
Gross.
rentals. Yeah. So,
Wow.
but this season it's been more of like just like the lots filling up super, super early during this haul, And, speaking on that, dude, I'm sure you've kind of seen some of the news in our industry over the last week. Park City Ski Patrol has gone on strike.
Oh,
You haven't seen that?
dude, I'm in a hole.
Oh, dude. Park City Ski Patrol is on strike. They've been
Really?
on strike since the 26th. And
So
now
is the mountain operating or not?
about maybe a quarter of the mountain is operational because of the ski
Safety.
patrol gone.
Yeah.
And then, Park City's owned by Vail. And so the next one to went, the Vail Ski Patrol went on strike right after that too. So Vail's on strike now, and about half their mountain is open. Just because Ski Patrol went on strike. And then the stock prices went down for Vail Corporation, and they dropped dramatically. They're down like 7% now. Like, it's crazy. And as far as like the industry goes and stuff like that, we're up here in our own little bubble up at Schweitzer and stuff, but we kind of start to see it creep in a little bit year after year.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like, what are your thoughts on like the big corporations kind of owning the industry and kind of taking away the smaller mountain,
Gosh, I didn't know we were going to talk politics.
it's definitely something to talk about, dude.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like it's politics.
No.
I feel like it's the spirit of snowboarding.
Yeah.
The small mountains. Like, I grew up with like Out Cold as like my favorite movie of all time. And, don't go a changing, dude. Like, and so I come from Timberline, and they still are independently owned, and they have a lease through the Forest Service, but they're still Timberline, dude. Like, they're not going to sell out for nobody.
Yeah.
And
I will say I enjoy seeing more people in the sport. It doesn't bum me out that there's more people getting on the mountain and, race that. Every time I'm on the chair with somebody from out of town, I make a point to make them feel like they're welcome, because I think if I was to go to their mountain, I would want the same thing. And it's not that I'm trying to represent a certain mountain or another one. I honestly like Schweitzer's terrain. It's my favorite mountain. I've had a season pass there forever. But if it was up to me, I would go to Lookout if they had high-speed lifts.
Sure.
Because I love sitting on a chair. I love doing vertical. And the terrain at Lookout is nice if you can, what they're going to expand to down the line. But not in my lifetime,
Yeah.
I'm a lazy old snowboarder. I really enjoy the sport, but I like sitting on the chairlift.
Yeah.
I don't like, the thought of splitboarding sounds kind of fun, but I don't know. I like getting exercise from going down the hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that bad?
No, it's not.
I'm not knocking on any splitboarders, though.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree, too, dude. Like, I would say that's how I kind of engage with everybody that I meet up at the mountain, too. I'm like, hey, where are you from? Oh, cool. Oh, well, thanks for coming up. Like, and, I'm not,
Well,
I
you do it for a job, too, essentially.
Well, yeah, I mean, for the last, 6 years, I've done it for that.
Most people aren't local, would you say, or that you're teaching?
No.
Yeah,
They're from either Spokane and beyond.
Oh.
Yeah. Mainly. A lot of Seattle. I mean, shoot, dude. I've taught Floridians. I've taught people from Texas.
A lot of
California.
Texas and Floridians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, and Josh can attest to that. This is my first year not working up at Schweitzer since I moved here. I've been here 6 years, and this is the first year where I just have, kind of gone back and just done the season pass type of thing.
Yeah.
But, I encountered the same thing at Timberline. I mean, people from everywhere, and you want people to get into it, whether that be them consuming influencers on Instagram or
Yeah.
TikTok or whatever they do, or, going the core route and like watching video parts and stuff like that. Like, I think that's what's super cool is like you meet somebody that may be new to the sport
Mm-hmm.
and you start like, if you're like a long time snowboarder and have like done all this stuff and watched all these things, like you can put them on some game
Yeah.
and be like, hey, this is cool. Like, check this guy out. Like, you really want to be a part of it. You really want to be a part of this lifestyle, which it is a lifestyle. Like, I've always identified as a snowboarder since I was 8 years old. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And before that, I was skating, but snowboarding is like number one for me.
No, it's a really like I said, it's the fountain of youth because like getting involved with it and being around it, it's like I don't know, from that 70-year-old Dane on the hard boots down to my 8-year-old neighbor getting stoked. It's
Yeah.
like it is a lifestyle, and I don't know, it's so fun. It's like the most. What I like about it the most, it's like, and I like to be efficient, like with my like carpentry and stuff that I do, like. But when I thought about it, because I have a snow bike too, and snowboarding and or skiing is the most efficient way to get down a mountain covered in snow. And it's like if you had to go down that hill any other way, that's the quickest way. And that's what I like about it too. It's fun,
Yeah.
it's exciting. It's like there's no other way to do it because I've tried it. A snowmobile, you probably could, but it's scarier. It's not as fun.
I say snowmobile up, snowboard down.
Oh yeah, all day long.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the dream, right? Like
Yeah.
snowmobile out, maybe split board, take a walk for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then ride down.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super super cool to see. You said you didn't really split board all that much, but I'm kind of, I've only really split boarded early season and like after closing.
Yeah.
I've split boarded a ton going up the Magic Mile up at Hood,
Mm-hmm.
During whatever time, when it's good, when it's bad, off season, mid season, and then, early season up here at Schweitzer, I've split boarded and gone out and done some stuff with some homies and stuff like that. But I feel like it's like I don't know, it's just like a cool alternative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When the crowds are there at the resort, you can kind of go out and kind of have some peace and some quiet at some point. Do you have a split board right now?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. And Ren actually said that he's been wanting to take me out, and
he went out the other week. I was talking to him. He went up to Stevens Lake and was killing it.
I would love to go, and I just need to make it happen with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been because he's got a few setups. He's like, yeah, dude, anytime. And I'm like, I gotta hit him up on it. It's not that I wouldn't do it. It's just like I just openly will admit that I enjoy riding a chairlift and being lazy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, yeah, if the conditions are good, it's hard to beat those fun laps with the homies.
I mean, that's why I buy a season pass, so I can go.
That's right.
So I can get some vertical in and sit down on my
Get
butt
your days
for a
in.
minute. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, dude.
Mhm.
I like that. But yeah, dude, let's talk a little bit more about kind of what's in the future for you. I know you have, I have 2 kids. I have a 3.5-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, tomorrow, her and I will be going up to Schweitzer and
Cool.
hitting up the carpet. And Ren was super awesome and hooked up with a rental, and we're gonna take her out. But talk about like your kids getting into it, and how old are your kids right now?
So I have an older daughter that is 21.
Okay.
And I have a 12-year-old daughter. So 2 girls. My older daughter lives in Austin, Texas.
Sick.
And doesn't really ski or snowboard anymore. She was in town over the holiday. She snowboarded. She started snowboarding and always did. But then when she was about 13, she kind of lost interest. And I pushed her kind of hard, honestly, when she was young. I was like, you're going to snowboard, and then it kind of fizzled out, and then I realized, I'm not going to push her to do something she doesn't really feel like doing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she kind of just fizzled out, but she really wanted to go when she came back, which was cool because I was like, she's like, do you think we can go snowboarding? We just didn't end up having time with all the family stuff and her visiting friends and all that. But my younger daughter started skiing, which I'm totally cool with. She wanted to snowboard about 3 years ago, and it took one toe side scorpion, and she said she'll never snowboard again.
Okay.
But she's a good skier, and we go everywhere. She's just starting to love the trees, which is cool, and she's fast, so I can go as fast as I want in any run I want, basically within reason. But it's really nice, and now she can ride the chairlift with her friends by herself now, and that's also awesome. So she kind of has the layout of the map, so she can figure out how to get back to home base if need be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Speaking of mountains up here, let's give me your. I mean, I'm probably gonna know the answer to this, but what's your favorite mountain in our area of the, the local 5, as we call it?
It'd be Schweitzer.
Okay.
Yeah. By far.
Yeah.
Yep. We were talking about this the other day. My brother-in-law, he and I grew up snowboarding too, and he was he's going to Lookout tomorrow with his son,
Okay.
and he's only been to Schweitzer. That's all that his kid and my kid have really gone to. We went to Lookout one year, but they were too young to remember. But I do remember going from Lookout. I had a season pass there. I think I was my sophomore year. And then my junior and senior year, I had a pass at Schweitzer. But going to Schweitzer from Lookout, just the first time I drove up and saw it and how big it was, I was intimidated compared to any other mountain you drive up to around here.
Yeah.
And Silver's different because you get dumped off on the top. But that's the thing about Schweitzer that's so rad is that South Bowl. It's sweet. And the view from the top of South Bowl, it's world class. There's nowhere. I've been all over Sun Valley, Tahoe, Canada. There's nothing. Montana, all these mountains. There's nothing like a Schweitzer view on a clear day.
Sure. Yeah.
It's sick. So, yeah. Every time it's a clear day and you see that lake, it's hard not to stop and just check it out. So,
I'll quote my boy Marty. Party Marty, dude. He's always kind of said, you get off that Lakeview Triple, you take a right, and you go over to the top of Ridge, right? And the mountain presents itself to you. And if it's a clear day, the lake presents itself to you. And it's one of the coolest fucking feelings ever when you get a clear day at the top of Schweitzer and you get to see the lake in full glass and stuff. And yeah, it's definitely up there for me. It's up there. I come from Hood, so me being at the top of Palmer or the top of the mile up at Hood on a clear day, that's up there for me too.
yeah.
And you get to see those Cascade Peaks all the way down to the California border. So yeah, I definitely hear you there, dude. It's super cool to be up at Schweitzer, and it's definitely a place that don't want to put it out there too much because we still want to keep it nice and not too crowded, but it's a place that everyone should definitely experience.
Well, I will say Silver is growing on me. The last few times I've been to Silver, had a hoot, dude. The Dougie Fresh last year.
Oh yeah.
That powder day was unreal. And I didn't even really want to race because it was just so good. And it really is a fun mountain. The gondola, I could take it or leave it. It's not ideal, but it's so close to Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing. That Schweitzer Drive gets a little lame. Back in the day, were you up here when the RV lot was in the middle of the Bunny Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like probably my first year that I got here. It was still there.
Okay.
Our boy, one of our ski instructors up at Schweitzer, Jimmy Z, and Kip. Actually, they used to be in that mid lot.
No, so Kip and I grew up with Kip.
Okay.
Kip back in the day was like the snowboarder, dude. I remember because like he could do a front side 180. I was just like blown away at his skills, and I'll never forget like Kip being like, because he figured out how to carve first. He figured out how to do a couple of tricks first. So when you're in that 10, 12-year-old age group and you're watching one of your friends do a couple of those moves ahead of you, it's mind blowing. I just remember Kip being the shit. Kip, and you're still the shit if you listen to this.
There you go.
I love Kip.
Yeah. Love Kip, dude. Kip's the man. But yeah, I remember like Jimmy Z still, I mean, he has to go down to the roundabout and camp down there now like everyone else has to do, but he's still doing it, dude. Like he doesn't care. Like him and Kip are kindred spirits in my opinion, and they and you know they're out there having their fun when they're up there at the mountains. So
funny story, real quick. I'll rewind back to that motorhome I used to drive up to the mountain. So we'd stay in that parking lot, and the RV didn't have a holding tank, so we'd use the bathroom, and it would just go straight down to the snow. And so when we'd leave after a couple nights there'd be this yellow pit in the snow in the parking lot. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun in that parking lot too.
oh yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it, dude. Like you know, I'm kind of like a big dreamer and stuff, and so you know, I consume a lot of different types of snowboarding, whether it be YouTube or video parts and stuff like that. But one of my I've actually done a podcast with him, Casey Willax. He's a big YouTuber. He actually got ranked by Snowboard Mag as the #1 YouTube snowboard
Oh really?
channel. And he just spreads like the most positive vibes, like health, wellness, snowboarding, stoke.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, you know, he's saying that he's going to be coming up to Schweitzer this season. Like finally, like I've been trying to get him up here for like 3 seasons and get the crew up here and stuff like that. But,
nice.
you know, they have this thing called the Narvi, and it's like one of those like old school, like 25-foot Ford Econoline
Oh, nice.
RVs.
Yeah.
And it's just the straight vibes, dude. Like he's got his freaking crew in there, the boys and stuff like that. And, you know, that's how I felt like Jimmy Z has been this whole time. It's been chilling out in the parking lot, you know, roughing it up, doing what he has to do to go teach lessons and have a good time with it. So
heck yeah, man.
Yeah, it's super.
I called it the slopeside condo.
Yep.
You know, ski in, ski out.
Yep. Yeah, we don't. Not all of us have like nice condos with hot tubs and nice kitchens, and then we have a side by side to get ourselves up to the side by side parking at Schweitzer. You know, we gotta drive up from other places, but I digress.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure, dude. All right, cool. So, dude, let's get into a little bit of some hot takes and some rapid fire, dude.
Okay.
Hot takes. Okay. So we already touched on your favorite hill within our area, but you know, you've been to a lot of different places snowboarding. What would you say are your 3 favorite mountains that you've been to in your life?
Big Sky, Sierra at Tahoe.
Okay.
And I'd say probably Fernie be number 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard
and Kirkwood. Kirkwood was pretty damn fun.
Kirkwood and Tahoe.
Yeah.
Nice. I've heard Kirkwood is sick.
It is. It's a big mountain. Like, it's big mountain. It's steep, and it's fun, and they get a ton of snow. Like, they're in this like snow belt where they always get more snow. Yeah, it's a really good time.
Nice. Fernie has the Thai food game on lock, was what I've heard from Mark Logan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you know Mark Logan?
Mark, is he the yoga instructor?
No, he is probably the most OG snowboard instructor at Schweitzer. He's got like it. There's honestly there's a sticker in the gift shop at Schweitzer with like a dude with a beard, like a big old beard.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So
Yeah.
Mark
I
thinks
don't know him. No, but
yeah,
yeah,
he's
I
the
know who
man,
he
dude.
is. Yeah.
He's up in what? Where's he live, Josh? He's up in like the Pack River Valley or
Yeah, like north of Nape, like north of everything, like right before
northeast of
Canada.
Bonner's Ferry, like
yeah.
way up by the Canada
Yep.
border. Yeah, he's out there, but yeah, he's the man, dude. Yeah. So, but he was saying that Fernie is so sick, and he told me, he was like, dude, the Thai food in Fernie is insane
I didn't do the Thai food, so I wouldn't have to. I wouldn't know, but
for sure.
I'll take his word.
Yeah. As far as your bucket list for snowboarding, what are like your top 3 places that you've never been to that you would want to go to?
Oh, I'd love to go heli in Alaska.
Okay.
Number 1.
Specific spot in Alaska or just Alaska?
I think out of Haines.
Okay.
Yeah. My buddy Lane. I'd like to go there with Lane. He's done some filming. But yeah, we've talked about it. Bald Face. I've been invited there several times, and I've never been able to go. Damn. And this year I got invited, and I guess it was just epic. Snowed. It snowed every day. Thanks, Jeremy, if you ever listen, for inviting me. Please don't stop. And then
yeah, I'll go too.
yeah, seriously, dude.
If you ever need someone else to come with, I'll be there.
I think, let's see. It'd be fun to go to like New Zealand.
Okay.
Like, in the summer. It would be cool.
Yeah.
To go, shred pow in like July.
In that off. Yeah.
Yeah,
in
and
the
just go do that for an experience.
reverse season. Yeah.
When it's really hot here.
Yeah.
But I think for sure heli, and then oh no, I lost track.
Oh, have you seen the reports coming out of Japan right now?
Oh no. No,
They've-
Japan would be fun too.
I think they've had the most snowfall to this point in 68 years.
Really?
Most snowfall.
And they get a shit ton of snow.
Yeah. It's just like I've seen some videos coming out of there. It's just like
yeah.
it's just like up to here.
Really?
It's like up to your freaking nose.
That's
dude.
one thing you do miss about not being on social media, dude. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I would, you follow people that snowboard and stuff, and you're just like geeking out on it. But
yeah, I feel you, dude. I understand. Like, in my personal opinion, you're probably on the right path as far as like not doing like the whole social media thing. Like it can get old real quick, but I don't know, dude. I just love seeing people out snowboarding and getting stoked and wherever that may be, and like knowing what's going on. So, another question. You've
Take
been
your
to
time.
Mount Hood, right?
yes, once.
Okay. Favorite place to visit in government camp?
Oh man,
You've been down there.
I don't know. I was there. I was only at Mount Hood one time,
Okay.
and it was kind of bizarre because at the time I thought my season pass from Schweitzer worked there, but it was Timberline. So
Okay.
I pulled into Hood. It snowed like 8 inches the night before, and it was sunny. And so I was there for work at the Portland Boat Show because I used to sell boats. And so I went and rode by myself, Bluebird, POW. It was busy, but it was fun. And then this guy I work with, Jason, he's a pilot, so pulled into Troutdale after snowboarding, met him at the airport, and then we got in a plane and buzzed the mountain and then went downtown Portland and came back.
Nice.
It was one of the coolest experiences, and that was all in Hood. So I think government camp looks pretty sick, like 500 feet above it.
Oh yeah.
Because like we flew right over it.
Oh yeah.
It was sweet.
Yeah, it's a good time, dude. All right, cool. Rapid fire. Okay. Pants or bibs?
Man, I wear pants.
Good.
I want some bibs though.
That's the right answer. Pants. Goggles or glasses?
Ooh, what time of year? Goggles.
Goggles.
Yeah,
All
gotta be
day.
able to see.
Okay, so we kind of touched on it, and Alaska's on your radar. But if you had to pick a place to go on a heli trip, where would you go, and who would be in the helicopter with you?
I'd probably go, either Baldface or Alaska, but I'd take Lane Power.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know he still snowboards, and he's good at it, and we talk all the time. But we've been snowboarding together for so long, and I think it would be a hoot. For his 40th birthday, he proved himself he could do a double backflip and stuck one.
Nice.
I was proud of him. So as long as he can do another double backflip, I'd probably go with him.
Okay. 3 favorite riders that influenced you when you were growing up?
It's tough. I kind of already said Kip, but Josh Smith was somebody who I really looked up to. He was a ski shack kind of older guy. He worked in the shop part-time back then. He's still around. Probably the best method grab ever. That's what I always wanted to learn how to do, and I learned it from him. Just
Nice.
watching him. He's the master. It was like growing up, Luke Van Valen was a good friend of mine, still is, and he was a skier, but he and I pushed each other quite a bit, and I really enjoy being on the mountain with him. So he's probably one of my other ones, but like he influenced me quite a bit. And then Ben Spinney used to run the park. Do you know who Ben Spinney is?
No.
He was the park manager back in the day. I remember he was like the first one I ever saw do like a rodeo. He could do like a front side rodeo 7, and they built the Chair 2 mound. Used to be built a little bit differently, but it was this massive jump. And he would always tell us stories about Hood because he would go down there and dig to ride back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was like my idol. I just remember that was when I could barely, like a shifty was like my number one trick. And I'm watching this guy do a off axis 720, and it was just mind blowing to see something like that in person. And yeah, I always wanted to try that. So he was a huge inspiration.
Okay. Maybe this goes into that same answer, but steeziest rider that you've ever come across. Just got that style to him. Maybe not the most talent out there, but can
like
tweak something.
Locally or a professional?
Professional.
Oh, Scotty Lago.
Okay.
He's probably my favorite style.
There we go.
Yeah,
I like that answer,
sure.
dude. Let's go. Shout out Lego.
Yeah.
That's the man, dude. Well, sick, dude. Well, with that, just want to say thank you, Chad.
Yeah, man. This
for
was
joining
cool.
the podcast.
I
This
didn't
was
really know
fun.
what to do because I'd never been on one, and this is really fun. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice chatting with
It
you
was
guys.
awesome, dude. And want to say thank you to Niche
Yeah, man.
for producing, dude.
Yeah, you got it. That was fun.
Yeah, for sure, bro. All right. Well, with that has been another episode of Let's Talk Snowboarding, and we are stoked, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Thank you.
All right.
Nice, dude. That was
Great.
fun.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.